Okay, welcome back to my channel. Again, my name is Jimmy. This is going to be the third installation of my ayahuasca / San Pedro um, experience. I guess because it's only fitting, right, to match, to change my environment to match the topic. I'm actually here in a cactus garden in Bogota, Colombia, in a botanical garden. This is the cactus part of things, as you can see behind me, which is suiting because I'm going to be talking about a cactus today. I'm going to talk about the San Pedro cactus and my experience at Sagrada in Ecuador. So I'll just get into it. If you guys, this video might not make sense if you don't see the other two. So just to catch you guys up, ayahuasca gives you the visions, and in San Pedro helps to interpret them and helps to formulate a plan to carry them out, right? So they're kind of like the yin and yang, right? This is about my San Pedro experience. So it began with a hike. We hiked up the top of a mountain in Sagrada. We again did the ceremony, we did the prayers, we put our intentions into tobacco. So tobacco is, they use tobacco here to absorb people's intentions. So like whatever it is you need help on or you need insight on, you kind of get a piece of tobacco in your hand, in the palm of your hand, and you hold on to it, you pray, and then they will start a fire and you throw it into the fire, right? So that that was no different here in the San Pedro. Everyone got a piece of tobacco. They put their intentions to the tobacco and they threw it into the fire. And then we did a kind of a hike down the mountain to this opening, and I'll also throw a picture in there of the opening. And that's where they laid out the carpet, and we initiated the San Pedro ceremony. The carpet is what they call it, the magic carpet, right? So it's a magic carpet because everybody goes up there and everybody has to go up. And there was like at the time like 36 of us. Everybody goes up there. You kind of kneel, sit on the magic carpet, and then sitting across from you is the shaman, who at this time was Christine, also the owner of Sagrada. And her question was, what's your advice to yourself, right? Everybody goes up, everybody kind of tells what their advice to themselves is, and everybody around the circle listens, because sometimes it's a good opportunity for the shaman Christine to like really give a deep dive into certain topics and issues that may not just pertain to you, but everybody in the circle, which is why everybody is listening or supposed to be listening. Because it's a private conversation with the shaman, but it's also a public sermon for everybody else. So anyways, we take the San Pedro medicine. We're all sitting around the magic carpet. The medicine doesn't make you feel sleepy or lethargic like ayahuasca. The medicine makes you feel what I would describe as very, it makes you antsy. It's definitely an upper, a stimulant. Whereas I would compare ayahuasca to more of a depressant. People tend to want to sleep and chill. San Pedro definitely makes you want to walk around, which is why we did the power walk. It makes you really, the purpose is to open up your heart and your mind. It makes you very empathetic. I mean, people were hugging, people were kissing, people were just kind of like really buddy because you're just so open to the community and the group that you're in, that you just want to show love and receive love, and that's essentially what the San Pedro was or does. So I went up there eventually. I think it was like the fourth person out of like 36 to do the San Pedro ceremony, or to go up there and speak to the shaman. And I told them about my experience with the ayahuasca, how I got a death sentence. And if you didn't watch that video, go ahead and jump back to ayahuasca part 2. And then she just kind of said, like, you could change that and this, that, and the other. And I was just kind of like, we're gonna die eventually. So I was like, who cares, Um, so she's like, okay, cool, whatever. Looks like you're good. So then she does this thing where she has this like black bag with glitter on the front, and you get to kind of pull into it, and you pull a feather. And the feathers are different colors, and they all have different meaning. And I ended up pulling a black feather, which is like extremely rare. And for the time being that we were there for like 14 hours, because we were there from like 8 a.m. to like 11 p.m. So, a lot more than 12 hours. I was like the only person to pull a black feather. And the black feather represented creation, Genesis, and the journey into the unknown, right? Which I guess really suited me. So then she also remarked, because she kind of like, when you pull the feather, she kind of whispers stuff in your ear. And then she just told me how, because she started doing some, like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like she had this like feather, like this big feather, kind of like a wand. And then she will like flap it around you, and then she'll flap it around your back. And then, kind of giving you a prayer, a blessing. And then she remarked how big my wings were. So like actual like spiritual wings. She talked about how big my wings were, and how I'm a 007 agent of love, and how I should hug people more and go around and just spreading love and energy to everyone, because that's what I was sent here for. Later on, I ended up asking one of her associates, what does that mean to have big wings? And then her associate gave me a really good answer. She said that some people are not actual human beings, meaning that they don't actually belong on Earth. They kind of came from a distant solar system, different dimension, to have a human experience. And that she thinks that the shaman thinks that I'm one of those people who came from a different dimension, just to try out what it's like to be human. And I would say that definitely feels, how would I say this? It definitely hits the mark, because I've never really felt, I've always felt like I was watching humanity as opposed to being a part of it. Because there's just things that humanity does as a whole that it really perplexes me, and it's always perplexed me as a kid. So when they just said, essentially that you could be an alien, reincarnated as a human being just to experience the human condition, I absolutely feel that. I absolutely feel that, and I absolutely feel that like it kind of coincides with the whole death thing, right? Because I cannot wait to get off of Earth. Like, I do love being a human being, but if there's something else to be, other than a human being, like, I'd rather be that. I'd rather just not be an Earthling. I think this place is really interesting, but I would rather be somewhere else doing something else and being something else than being a human being. Being a human being is absolutely difficult. No matter who you are or what your experiences is, there are so many challenges with just balancing the mind and the heart that it almost feels like you're doing battle with existence every day, because you have to manage yourself, you have to manage the environment around you, and sometimes the environment is trying to manage you. So then you also have to kind of like figure out like your independence. So like there's a lot going on with being a human being, and then there's like love and hate and desires and disappointments and dreams and all these other like ethereal things that like aren't really tangible, right? Like a lot of our struggle, aside from like food and water, is within us. It's the emotions that we go through, it's the thoughts that we have, it's the desires that we're trying to that we're trying to accomplish, that we're trying to obtain. a lot of these things, they're not real. Like they're real to us, right? Like our dreams and our hopes and our disappointments are real to us, but they're not real like food and water is real. Which is also kind of like another challenge, right? Because how can you, because you're striving for these kind of ethereal things like love and belonging, that essentially are within us. So yeah, spiritual rant. The human experience is brutal. And I absolutely agree that I had to have been, born from another solar system, another galaxy, another dimension, and that I just came to visit being a human being. I came to visit Earth to be a human being, and I regret it a little bit, but I'm here, so it is what it is. But overall, I will say that the San Pedro experience, just bringing it back full circle, was very interesting because you do gain a lot of insight as to your own nature and kind of like what was told to you through your ayahuasca ceremony. For instance, as I was talking to the shaman, I started to realize that maybe like the death sentence that I got was more of a cautionary tale than an actual death sentence, and that it was ayahuasca telling me that like this life of like high octane adventure and hedonism is eventually going to be my undoing if I don't rein it in. Or it could just be a death sentence. I have until 40, and at the time I was 27, now I'm 28. So I have 12 years to kind of figure it out. But overall, the San Pedro was definitely necessary. I did it one more time because I did ayahuasca one more time, which I shouldn't have done, because also my San Pedro, I was told not to do the ayahuasca anymore. I have all that I needed. But I still didn't know the second half of my purpose, because I remember I told you at the beginning, I went to Gaia because I had two purposes. I got one, but I didn't get the other, so I kind of felt like I had to go back and figure out to get some answers. I still had some questions that I needed answers to. So San Pedro had told me not to do it anymore, ayahuasca, and I ended up doing it again, and that was a mistake. I'm going to go into that video, and I'm also going to go into the video, I'm going to make another video, so a fourth one, and I'm going to combine the last ayahuasca ceremony that I did and the last San Pedro ceremony that I did, because they kind of go hand in hand.